Yes, people, welcome back to the 1894 for a brand new video. I'm Hugh and I've got Joe here with me for a big transfer episode. A lot has happened in the last 24 hours and we're going to break it down for you right now. Okay, so in the last week, we kind of got an update from Fabrizio Romano that there would be an update about the Harry Kane situation and whether he's coming to City or not in the next days, hours, is what he says. And those days have come. We today got a final update, or finally the update we wanted, as to whether it's going to happen or not, what kind of price range we're talking, and here it is. I've got a few tweets here from Fabrizio, of course, and there's a few other sources as well. We're going to break it down as well. Man City made an official proposal to Tottenham for Harry Kane, consisting of an initial £100 million plus an availability to include players in a deal Tottenham have no intention to accept, while Kane wants to leave. Right, so City are obviously trying to start the bar at 100 million. Obviously, we kind of got the word from Fabrizio in his first update last week, or his first kind of post last week, that Tottenham are valuing him at around 150 million, and it was going to be a crazy bid, which would be 150 million, which would, trigger Tottenham to say yes or agree to it. But City have supposedly started at 100 million. But that was the first thing that came out today, but it was the first of a few. So we kind of got the feeling that, yes, it's looking like the door is opening, but it was slammed shut again when we kind of got the news that Tottenham were going to say no. Now, here's another one from Fabrizio. Harry Kane wants to play Champions League football next season and wants to leave Tottenham, but no decision will be made until after Euro 2020. Man City are not giving up as of today, and he is the main target. Pep Guardiola would love to work with Kane. Okay, so from Fabrizio's point of view, what he's trying to tell us is that City are trying to push it. We're trying to make it happen. But then Stuart Brennan from Manchester Evening News tried to shut that down for us, and it kind of killed our hopes a little bit because I was getting pretty excited at that stage. Sources at both Man City and Tottenham have stated that there has been no official offer for Harry Kane. That is from about half an hour after from Fabrizio Romano's update. And at that stage, we're starting to think, okay, we're back to square one a little bit. But then it says Man City have told Harry Kane they put together an opening offer worth up to 100 million. Spurs sources are adamant they are yet to receive an official bid for Kane, but it is clear that Man City have begun the process of trying to get negotiations underway. So there's kind of a lot to digest there, really. And then the final one was kind of Man City believed to have communicated to Harry Kane that they have structured a bid worth an initial 85 million plus 15 million in add-ons. And first refusal on their unwanted players, which I assume is the likes of Mendy, maybe Jesus, those kind of players, maybe Laporte, who seems to want to leave as well. So there's quite a lot to digest. I know I've just read out a lot of tweets pretty quickly there, Joe, but what are your thoughts on the whole thing?
There's been a lot of contrasting reports recently. All those tweets, it's been very up, down, up, down. You know, it's happening, it's not, it's happening, it's not. We've launched the bid, we haven't. Of course, Spurs are going to try and deny it because he's their star man. They want to keep him. They're going to deny it for as long as possible until the inevitable happens. He does want to leave. But I think most people are expecting it to drag on a bit because of the Euros. I think Kane has said that he's focused on the Euros and then he'll decide his future afterwards. There's no way on earth Spurs are going to want to play against Kane on the opening day of the season, which is against us. So, you know, this is set to be a very, very long process to try and get a striker if it's Kane.
I think you're right. I think in reality it is going to be a really long process, and I think the fact that Levy somewhat publicly made it clear the other week that he will simply not allow the deal to happen before our first game of the season, which is obviously against Spurs, because he's so petrified of Harry Kane essentially playing against Tottenham in his very first game at his new club and doing a madness and scoring a hat-trick or something and just completely embarrassing Spurs, which I think is still a little bit childish from Daniel Levy's point of view. But whilst it is going to realistically be a long, drawn-out saga, I think the fact that today's report suggesting that City have made contact with Spurs or have made contact with Kane's camp or something along those lines means that City are trying to make it happen as fast as possible. City are trying to be somewhat aggressive about this whole process. So it looks to me like they're trying to get it some sort of a deal struck with Tottenham so that as soon as Harry Kane finishes his Euro campaign, whenever that may be, they can literally just get the contract out and say sign it, so Kane can go straight into pre-season with City. Normal process, you know what I mean? Straight into a brand new season, done the whole pre-season, good to go. But Tottenham seem to be quite reluctant to do so. They're trying to disrupt our whole process as much as possible because they want Kane to stay. But if we're going to analyse Tottenham's situation, that's a complete mess. Why would Harry Kane stay? I think they've let 3 or 4 managers fall through now. They've got their financial difficulties. They spent £1 billion odd quid on the stadium and they can't afford to buy top players. And now it's looking very like they're going to lose their main man, Harry Kane, which they're scared of doing, probably for commercial reasons, because let's be real, even if he does stay another season, regardless of who they appoint as a manager, they're not winning any trophies. They're just not. So I think for this to happen, we're going to need to see a little bit of force from Harry Kane. Obviously, City, just based off today's reports from Fabrizio Romano, are being aggressive with it, and I was a bit taken back by it. I was a bit kind of like, wow, City are actually upfronting £100 million, which we've never seen happen before, and they're trying to make this happen. Fully aware of how difficult Levy is to work with, but for City to get this to happen as fast as they want it to, they're going to need Kane to pull through and be a bit aggressive on his end as well. What do you think about that, Joe?
I think everybody knew the situation that Spurs were in. Obviously, financially, they have been struggling recently with, again, like you say, the new stadium, the loss of revenue due to COVID. So, they are inclined to sell due to money reasons. But again, it comes back to the point of where would they be without Kane? They'd probably be mid-table. Let's be real about it. He is carrying that Spurs side. He's pretty average. So, again, he probably will have to force his way out, but I don't know, there is that side of it of will he force his way out? Because, he might respect the club too much because, they gave him his first chance in the league. He's been with them for some time. He loves the club. He's got great relationships with people, behind the scenes and the players already at the club. So he might have to do what Kyle Walker did when he signed for us and maybe just push his way out. If he's really, ambitious about it, he's going to have to take action, I think.
Yeah, no, I 100% agree. And he's kind of caught in a twilight zone whereby he has to choose between, does he want to go somewhere where he's guaranteed trophies, or just settle for a fantastic legacy at one club, which is obviously Spurs. If he stays there, he will have a great legacy. But I think real Spurs fans would like to see him go on and do well. It only does look good for Spurs if he goes on to win trophies and has a great career. They can say they made him what he is and blah, blah, blah. He's given more than enough time to Spurs as a top player, and some great years for them, some great goals, some great memories. But in football, you just have to accept when a player has outgrown the shirt he's wearing. I mean, just to give you a small example, Henrik Larsson, who played for Celtic, he was a top player. For many of you who know him, played for Barcelona, played for Man United for a while, won Champions League, won everything. He spent his best years at Celtic. He spent 7 years there, and then it got to the point where he was like, "Listen, I need to win a little bit more than just the Scottish Premiership, whatever. I'm going to have to move on." And the Celtic fans are like, that's fine. We appreciate that. You appreciate you gave us some of your best years. And I think the real Tottenham fans, mature fans, will understand why Kane wants to progress. They will realise that their club is kind of stagnant right now, and it's caught in a bit of a rut. And he's too good to be in that rut personally. As captain of England, he's banging in goals every single season. I think he's hit the ceiling he can hit with Tottenham. And another update from Matt Law here, which was quite an interesting one, which was Man City are not expected to cap their interest in Harry Kane at 100 million, but Tottenham would not accept players in exchange. Raheem Sterling isn't interested in being used as a make weight, and Spurs would not be able to afford his wages. So there's kind of two things to dissect there, really. The first one is obviously City have, yes, allegedly from Fabrizio, proposed or are going to propose 100 million to Tottenham, which is still mad for City considering our transfer record is something like 66, 67 million, and now we're putting up 100 million off the bat for Kane. And from this, we're not capping it at 100 million. We're going to keep going a little bit further. It'll be interesting to see how far we do go. I just don't see the 150 million mark being hit. But I could definitely see us pushing to 120. And if you're going to offer Daniel Levy with 120 million pounds for a player that doesn't want to be there, I'm not a businessman. I never claimed to be, but you're crazy not to take it. What do you make of that one, Joe?
Yeah, I mean, of course they're going to hold out for more money than that because they want it, but this is what negotiations are for. You've got to try and meet in the middle. So 120 million made a bit. You might have to add a few bonuses in there over time. But that thing about the players is, we were rumoured, a few weeks ago now that it was going to be players like Jesus and Ake going the other way to try and bring down the fee. And I do agree. I don't see us paying 150 million because it's something that we've never done before as a club. We haven't done that, but we are, let's not forget here, we are replacing arguably the greatest goal scorer in the Premier League, greatest foreign goal scorer in the Premier League. He is our all-time top goal scorer. And to replace someone like that in today's market, you need to spend. I don't really think that we can afford to have the time of someone like a Silva at Frankfurt. We don't have the time. I think we need someone who's going to come in and hit the ground running and score goals because that's our one weakness at the moment.
It is absolutely, and you touched on it there that we're replacing. You have to bear in mind we are replacing essentially the greatest foreign goal scorer in Premier League history and one of the greatest strikers in Premier League history overall in Sergio Aguero. So, and in today's market, obviously with inflation and players getting more expensive as the years go on, if you are looking for the creme de la creme of strikers, which is generally the most expensive position on the pitch, you're going to have to front up the big book. So I'm glad that City aren't, or according to Matt Law, aren't capping their interest at 100 million, because it's obviously not going to cut the the bill for Daniel Levy. He's not going to say yes to that. But I touched on that a few videos ago. I said while Tottenham have valued him at 150 million, they made that pretty clear a couple of weeks ago. I said that it still won't be 150 million. I don't think it will take 150 minutes to do so. I think Levy's just saying that to set the bar, and now we've set the bottom bar. So Levy set 150 minutes as the top bar, we've set 100 minutes as the bottom one, and I think they will come somewhere in the middle to meet. I think it will happen. If you for the people who are watching to get our actual opinions, I think it will happen. I just think it'll be drawn out purely over the likes of 500k, a million, 2 million. I mean, if you look at Tottenham's recent deals, trying to get managers in, they were literally squabbling over 2 or 3 million with Antonio Conte. I think it was for his wages or for his proposed transfer budget. I don't actually know the ins and outs, but I saw reports that they were squabbling him and Levy over 2 or 3 million for some financial reason. If that's the way Tottenham operate, we're going to be squabbling down to really fine margins with Levy to get Kane. It won't be a case of he's willing to, marginalise between 5 and 10 million or 7 or 8. He's literally going to bring it down to the final cent or pence, whatever you call it, for this Kane deal. He's going to try and bleed every last pence out of City's bank account. So that's why it will be slightly more difficult. We know how difficult Levy is to operate. But before we do close up, I just said I do think it will happen. I said I do think it'll happen because of how aggressive City are being. I think the fact that we've fronted up 100 million and we've made that clear, we've made that public, means we're going for it. We're going balls to the wall. We want to make it happen. Do you think it's going to happen, Joe?
There is now public tier one journalists like Fabrizio Romano now saying that we've made an offer. We haven't got that with any other player that we've been chasing. So at the moment, I'm going to agree with you. I think this is the most likely striker that we're going to sign. I think the fact that it is now public is huge. It blows everything wide open because there's going to be so much more coverage now that everyone knows what's happening.
Absolutely, it's gonna be an interesting one. It's gonna be an exciting one because, like Joe said a few minutes ago, we've never dealt with these kind of figures before. We've never dealt with 100 million and signing Galactico players like Harry Kane. But this is just the beginning, lads. This is very much just the beginning. City have proposed 100 million, and like I said a second ago, we're gonna have to meet somewhere in between that 150 and 100 million mark. So there's still a lot to be said for this one, and we just hope it happens sooner rather than later. Obviously, the Euros is going to make it stagnate a little bit, but we're looking forward to it, and we will keep you updated here. Do leave your thoughts down below as well in the comments. We'd love to know what you think, because with it being such a high profile transfer and so much money involved, everyone's going to have different thoughts. Everyone wants different players to come in, different players to leave, how much we think Kane is worth. And I've seen people say, if we're going to spend this money on Kane, why not spend it on Haaland? We may do another video on that as well, because it is an interesting one. And we did see another tweet today suggesting that City are going to try and buy Haaland and Kane for 210 million. I'm not even going to give that source the time of day, because I just think it's so crazy to even suggest that's a thing. It's just not. But anyway, leave your thoughts down below, like I said, on the Harry Kane thing, because it's quite an exciting one at the end of the day. It's a big name. Leave a like on the video as well if you enjoyed it. Subscribe if you're new. The support recently has been absolutely amazing. We've grown quite a bit in subscribers, and we really, really appreciate it. We're getting pretty close to that 300 mark now. So do that if you would be massively appreciated. And we will see you hopefully very soon for another transfer update. There's a few other players linked with us. We'll see you then. Good night.